happening right now, and most people don't even realize it. It's not fought with weapons, it's not televised, it doesn't make headlines, it's silent, invisible, constant, and it's happening in the battlefield of your mind. We often look outward for the enemy. We blame society, we blame culture, we blame temptation, politics, media, the system, other people, but the greatest battle you will ever fight is not external, it's internal. The true spiritual warfare isn't against flesh and blood, it's against thoughts, it's against impulses, against lies that try to root your consciousness and quietly dictate your reality. Because here's the truth. Your reality is shaped first in your mind. Every action begins as a thought. Every habit begins as a decision. Every destiny begins as a belief. If the mind is weak, reality becomes chaotic. If the mind is disciplined, reality becomes intentional. The unseen battle is the war between higher calling and lower impulse, between divine truth and destructive desire, between the version of you that is capable of greatness and the version of you that settles for comfort. And most people lose this war daily, not because they are incapable, but because they are unaware. We live in an age of constant distraction. Screens dominate our attention. Notifications fracture our focus. The algorithm is engineered to capture our impulses and feed our weaknesses. In this environment, mental fortitude isn't optional, it's survival. Without it, you become programmable. Your thoughts get shaped by whatever you consume. Your desires get shaped by whatever you repeatedly expose yourself to. Your identity slowly conforms to what you scroll, watch, and entertain. The internal battlefield becomes overcrowded with noise. Spiritual warfare then is not dramatic imagery or angels and demons clashing in the sky. It is the quiet moment when you choose discipline over indulgence. It is the decision to close the app instead of spiraling into comparison. It is the refusal to entertain lust, bitterness, envy, or self-pity. It is the deliberate act of aligning your thoughts with truth rather than emotion. Because emotions are powerful, but they are terrible leaders. Mental fortitude is the ability to feel something without being controlled by it, to experience temptation without surrendering to it, to acknowledge fear without obeying it. This is where divine principle comes in. Without a foundation higher than yourself, your mind becomes its own god, and the human mind left unchecked justifies anything. It rationalizes sin. It excuses weakness. It negotiates with self-sabotage. But when your mind is anchored in divine truth that does not change with culture, trends, or feelings, you gain stability, you gain clarity, you gain an internal compass. You begin to measure your thoughts against something eternal rather than something emotional. And that changes everything. Because many of the battles we call external problems are actually internal arguments. We agree that lies about our worth. We agree that destructive habits. We agree with thoughts that say you'll never change. This is just who you are. One more time won't hurt. That agreement is where reality begins to form. If you repeatedly agree with weakness, you build a weak reality. If you repeatedly agree with discipline, you build a disciplined reality. The mind is a garden. Whatever you water grows. Whatever you ignore withers. If you allow seeds of lust, resentment, laziness, or pride to take root, they don't stay small. They expand into behaviors. Those behaviors form habits. Habits form character. Character shapes destiny. This is why self-control is not repression. It is liberation. When you lack self-control, you are controlled by impulse. When you lack discipline, you are enslaved by desire. But when you cultivate mental fortitude, you reclaim authority over your own life. And that authority is powerful. Think about how many people sabotage themselves, not because they lack talents, but because they lack mastery over their own thoughts. They procrastinate because they feel overwhelmed. They quit because they feel discouraged. They indulge because they feel distressed. They react because they feel offended. Feelings dictate their actions. Actions dictate their outcomes. Outcomes reinforce their beliefs. And the cycle continues. Breaking that cycle requires recognizing the battlefield. It requires slowing down long enough to examine your thoughts instead of automatically believing them. Not every thought that enters your mind deserves residence. Some must be confronted. Some must be rejected. Some must be replaced. This is the discipline of mental warfare. When a thought of lust arises, you don't entertain it. You redirect it. When a thought of inadequacy surfaces, you counter it with truth. When resentment whispers, you choose forgiveness. When distraction calls, you choose focus. Every one of those moments seems small, but they compound. You are either reinforcing strength or reinforcing weakness daily. And here's the powerful part. The mind and reality are deeply connected. When you strengthen your inner world, your outer world begins to align. You become more decisive, more consistent, more resilient. You stop reacting to life and start shaping it. Opportunities appear where excuses once lived. Discipline produces results. Clarity produces direction. You begin to redeem your reality, not by changing your circumstances first, but by transforming your mind. Spiritual fortitude doesn't mean you won't struggle. It means you refuse to be defined by struggle. It means you see temptation as a test of growth, not an excuse for surrender. It means you understand that every internal victory strengthens your identity. And identity is everything. If you see yourself as weak, you act weak. If you see yourself as disciplined, you act disciplined. If you see yourself as redeemed, you pursue redemption. The unseen battle determines which identity you reinforce. This is why daily practice matters. Prayer, reflection, scripture, silence, fasting from distractions, limiting what pollutes your thoughts, guarding what enters your eyes and ears, surrounding yourself with people who elevate rather than erode your standards. These are not religious rituals for appearance. They are training exercise for war. Because the mind untrained will drift toward comfort, and comfort rarely produces growth. The world will tell you to follow your heart, but the heart, untethered from truth, can be deceptive. It can chase pleasure at the expense of purpose. It can pursue validation at the cost of integrity. Mental fortitude means you don't allow every desire. You filter it, you test it, you measure it against your higher calling. You begin asking different questions. Does this strengthen me or weaken me? Does this align with who I am becoming? Does this bring clarity or confusion? Does this build discipline or feed impulse? Over time, those questions reshape your habits, and habits reshape your life. That's it for today. Thank you guys for watching. If you could subscribe, like, so I could continue making these, I'd appreciate it. Take care.